What's going on, YouTubers? This is Mopar Man 1978. This is going to be a tech tip video and concerning Abody Mopars. Several years back, I bought this upper ball joint socket from PST or Just Suspension. I can't remember which. They offered 3 of them, but I was only able to get this one at the time because they were out of stock of the other 2. And this is for the 70's A-bodies with the bigger ball joint than the 60's A-bodies with this a little bit smaller ball joint. And at the time, I bought this for my 76 Plymouth Volare because it used this same ball joint as the 70's A-bodies. But when I had my 65 Dart, it used the smaller ball joint, upper ball joint. Well, when I looked and looked, nobody had this specialty ball joint socket for the smaller ball joint, so I had to improvise. And what I did was I took some very thin sheet metal. I want to say I would have used my digital caliper here, but my luck, the lid popped off, and with the hearing aid battery that goes in there, and I couldn't find it. So I'm guesstimating on the thickness of this sheet metal. I don't have a sheet metal gauge, so I'm going to say this is like the gap, Mopar spark plug gap 0.35 or maybe Chevy 0.45 thick. But what I did was took the inner measurement through. Let's see here if I can point at it here. Took the measurement from this edge down to the inner edge right here, and then I cut out a strip of the sheet metal. And then what I did was when I had the ball joint on its side and the vise on this long flat spot here, I actually started with the open end, and I took a Abody hammer and slowly tapped the sheet metal with the hammer all the way around, making sure that it stayed, and then once I got it to a certain spot, I clamped it, and I tapped it all the way around the outside of the ball joint. And once I got done, I cut off the excess, and then I pushed the 2 ends together. And so then when I'll show you. Well, let's see if I can get it in here. There you go. And it fits in there perfectly. And it's the correct length and everything. The only thing you got to make sure, whether you have to custom make an insert or not, make sure when you put it down on the ball joint, make sure it's all the way down on the ball joint flat. Otherwise, if you try to put this on there and you get your big breaker bar, this is at an angle, slight angle, it'll pop right off the ball joint. So you got to make sure it's tapped. Some of them I have to tap down because, especially on the new ball joints, the material is just a hair thicker, and you have to basically tap it down to get a tight press on there. But anyway, with this insert, I know this insert is maybe a lighter metal than the actual hardened metal socket, but as long as you press it down all the way down to the bottom here, I have taken many ball joints off with this insert installed inside this socket. But anyway, I just wanted to show that to you. Make a, you know, you improvise, you overcome and adapt, sort of thing. But anyway, the other thing I recommend too is when you're doing your upper ball joints, pre-treat them with a penetrating oil, and also use a propane torch to heat the ball joint up and the sleeve with the threads on the inside of the upper control arm. Heat that all up, because when you get that oil on there that's soaking and then you heat it up with a torch, it acts like a sponge. It soaks it in, even if it's rusty. And then the existing oil that's already from the grease gun that's naturally leaked out over the top and the sides of the ball joint will heat up as well and soak the rust, and the rust acts like a sponge. Heat that top side, and then heat the underside of the control arm too, where the ball joint gets threaded in. And I use to get started, I use a heavy duty 3-foot long breaker bar, 1/2-inch drive breaker bar with this socket, and a piece of 4-foot piece of cheater pipe on there to get them started. And then I switch over to a 3-foot long ratcheting breaker bar, 1/2-inch, and then I put the cheater pipe on that, and then that helps me undo them and put them back in, the new ones back in, a lot easier. But just wanted to share this quick tech tip with you. Hope you enjoyed this video.